My name is Frank Delaney. I'm 74 years old, and I've learned in this life that the deepest wounds don't come from strangers, okay? They come from your own flesh and blood. I live a quiet life now, just outside Richmond, Virginia. I retired 15 years ago after selling my event business, the one I built with my own hands. Tents, chairs, stages, lighting, everything. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments. It really helps us out. Started with nothing but a rusted pickup and a few rented tables. By the time I was done, I had contracts with country clubs, churches, even governors. The crown jewel of that business was the Willow Estate, a restored colonial manor I bought back in the 90s, poured everything into, and turned into one of the state's top wedding venues. I sold the business, but not the estate. That's still mine. I keep it quiet, off the books, managed by a trustee. No one in my family even knows I still own it, including my granddaughter, Rachel. She's 25. Beautiful girl, smart, ambitious. I used to pick her up from school every Tuesday. We'd stop for milkshakes and talk about life. She told me once when she was 10, "Grandpa, I want you to walk me down the aisle someday." I held on to that moment for years, but people grow up. Sometimes they grow away. Rachel got engaged last fall. I found out through Facebook. No phone call, no visit, just a post with pictures and emojis and not a single tag, not even a comment from her to me. I waited. Days passed, then weeks. Nothing. So I called her. She didn't pick up. I left a voicemail telling her I was happy for her and if she needed help with the wedding. I was here, still nothing. Then, one Sunday after church, I ran into my niece, who casually mentioned Rachel's wedding was scheduled for the spring at the Willow Estate. I smiled and nodded like I already knew, but inside I went still. No one had reached out. No one had even asked, and they had no idea I still owned the venue. My trustee must have approved it on my behalf. They'd booked it through the management office like any other client. Out of curiosity, I called Rachel's mother, my daughter-in-law, Susan. I asked gently, "So, when's the big day?" There was a long pause. Then she said it. "Frank, I didn't want to hurt your feelings, but Rachel just wanted something ... smaller, intimate. No offense, she just didn't want any family drama. No invitation, no seat, no walk down the aisle." That night, I sat alone at my kitchen table with a lukewarm cup of tea. I stared out the window at the wind moving through the trees, and something inside me shifted, not in anger, but in quiet sadness. All these years, all this love, and they tossed me aside like I was just inconvenient. But I didn't say anything. I didn't argue. I didn't beg for a seat. Instead, made one phone call to my trustee. 3 days after that call, my trustee sent me the full booking details. The Delaney wedding was scheduled for May 14th, ceremony and reception, both at Willow Estate. The guest list was over 150 people, a live band, catered dinner, full access to the bridal suite and gardens. Its estimated cost, just under $82,000, paid in full. I sat with those papers a long time, and then I made a decision, not out of spite, but out of something deeper, a quiet sense of justice. I instructed my trustee to not cancel the wedding. No, I wanted it to happen, but I also asked him to arrange a personal meeting with the couple under the pretense of a final venue walkthrough. I told him, make sure they think it's just routine. Well, and so, 2 weeks later, I drove out to the estate for the first time in years. The place looked beautiful. The white columns of the blooming garden, the sound of wind through the willow trees. I remembered building the gazebo with my bare hands, planting those oaks with Mary Ann before she passed. Every corner held a memory. Rachel and her fiancé, Mark, arrived exactly at 11 a.m. She didn't recognize me at first. Why would she? I wasn't dressed like Grandpa Frank. I wore a pressed, gray suit, no cap, no cane. When she finally looked up from her phone and saw me, her face froze. "Grandpa." "Hello, Rachel," I said calmly. "I hear you're getting married here." She blinked, confused. "What are you doing here?" "I own this place," I said. "Still do?" Her mouth opened, then closed. Mark stepped forward. "Wait, you're the Mr. Delaney, the owner?" I nodded. There was a long silence, the kind that stretches out and starts to sting. Rachel looked pale. We didn't know." "No, you didn't," I said. "Thought you might reach out once you realized, but you never did. Not even a text, not an invitation." She looked down. "I'm sorry. We thought you wouldn't want to come." I looked at her for a moment. "You were 10 when you asked me to walk you down the aisle. Do you remember that?" Tears welled up in her eyes, but she said nothing. Mark shifted nervously. "Mr. Delaney, sir, I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding. Please, the deposit's paid. The vendors are booked." I raised a hand gently. "You don't need to worry. The wedding can go on as planned. Everything stays. Nothing's being canceled." Rachel breathed out. "Thank you." But I added, "I won't be attending." She looked up at me, and when the guests asked who built this place, who planted the trees, who restored the beams over the altar, I'd appreciate it if you told them the truth. I was never invited, but I made it possible. That was the last thing I said to her. I left them there, standing in silence under the oak trees. The wedding happened. It was a beautiful day. I know, because the estate manager sent me photos afterward. Rachel looked radiant. I didn't attend. I didn't need to. A few weeks later, I received a letter. It was from Rachel. She wrote, "You were right. I forgot who you were, and I forgot who I am because of it. I didn't just rob you of a seat. I robbed myself of a moment I'll never get back. I'm sorry, Grandpa, truly." There was no check, no gift, no dramatic reunion, just those words. And for me, they were enough sometimes. Revenge isn't about destruction. It's about reminding people who you are, without ever raising your voice. Dignity doesn't beg for love. It stands tall, even when no seat is saved at the table.